Hi, it's Jane on WOTWIP and coffee, and I have coffee because my throat's a little messed up still. Still have the cough. Um, Other than that, I'm feeling much better, able to get up and move around and do things that I wasn't able to. Like I said last week, I was just zonked out most of the week. I'd get up and do something and I'd be ready to go take a nap, and I'd fall asleep in the process. Today I am working on some of those Willow squares while we sit and talk. Oh my goodness. Cat hairs. Cat hairs are in everything. Makes me crazy. Oh well, they're my cats. Guess I'll have to deal with it, won't I? We've finally gotten out of the deep freeze for now, I think. I'm not real sure, but finally the ice and snow off my driveway have melted away. I didn't get out there and shovel because I wasn't feeling well enough. So, yeah, that's kind of where that stood. We've had some nicer temperatures and seen people out doing stuff that they weren't doing when it was so freezingly cold and when that wind was blowing like crazy. I don't know about you, but that wind, it was ridiculous. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Can't count and talk at the same time. Who would have thought that? Had to go and get my new driver's license. My license was due to expire anyway this year. And, because of the whole real ID nonsense, I was like, well, might as well go ahead and get it taken care of. I have all the documentation, so let's just do it. And while I was there, I was reading a report about the Democrats in the state Congress here in Pennsylvania, the Commonwealth. They would like to do away with the sex of the child on the birth certificates because it could lead to discrimination. I'm like, well, that just seems like that'll be a whole big problem because most of the states for the real ID, you have to have documentation of your name change or sex change. I think the way they word it is proof of legal name, date of birth, and or gender designation change. So I guess you could do away with that on the birth certificate if you didn't have the child's sex on it. But, why not just issue a certificate that says a clump of cells was born? I think that is just one of the craziest things I've ever heard of. And this whole thing with gender dysmorphia, I think that's what it's called. I'm sorry, it's crazy. There is someone who is transgender who's upset because gynecologists wouldn't see them. And I'm like, okay, but you're a male saying that you're a woman. You don't have woman parts. And an OBGYN doesn't deal with men parts. So, stands to reason they wouldn't see you. We live in some crazy times right now. Absolutely crazy times. Don't we? And I find funny the people that are so upset about the criminal illegals being deported. You know, I'm sorry, folks, but you weren't mad when Biden's doing it. You were mad when Obama did it. You weren't mad when Bush did it. Now you're mad just because Trump's doing it. You have to have someone to hate, and there's something wrong with that. Unfortunately, there are consequences when you break the rules or break laws. If I'm caught speeding, I get a speeding ticket and I get to pay a hefty fine. And that's a consequence of breaking the law. You can't come into someone's country without, one, proper documentation, as in passport, a work visa, something like that. And if you don't have that, and you've come here under the radar, you have broken the law. It is illegal to enter the country without proper documentation, period. That's a consequence. And I'm sorry, if they've murdered someone in their home country, they should stay in their home country. I got a problem with that. And then, I hear a lot of people crying about, well, who's going to pick your vegetables and take care of the cattle and sheep and everything on these farms? You just going to expect ICE to show up? Yeah, but most ranchers and farmers don't hire illegals. It's not worth their time. It's not worth it financially for them. So, I would imagine, the big farms, they probably do, because it's cheaper for them. And they don't have to document taxes that they're not paying, because they're not paying those employees, normal way. They're paying them under the table. So they can give them a lower wage. Modern day slavery. So, crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. I also think it's crazy that so many people are selling their phones that have TikTok on it. Who would have thought we'd see that day, right? Just absolutely nutsos. But it's part of life, so we'll deal with it. We had a interesting celebration here. Last weekend. Now, I didn't go to it. I'd wanted to go to it, but I wasn't feeling well enough to go, so I didn't go. And it's a chestnut festival. It's the first annual one. And what they did is they served a lot of dishes around chestnuts, different menu items, recipes you could try, besides just the roasted chestnuts. and told you about the history of it. And as one of my friends said, best thing ever, they were playing country music. They had a band that was playing country music. They had a band that played the polka. You know, some different things like that, different demonstrations. And then you could also take some saplings or seeds to put in your refrigerator, and so that when it was spring, to take them out and plant them. Now, they also made note of the fact that there are many hundreds of varieties of chestnut, but the American chestnut is almost entirely depleted. However, they have found a couple of tree lines up in the mountains around here where there are some American chestnuts. They have tested those and that whatnot. And so they have taken some of the seeds from that so that people can replant the American chestnut. Now here, when logging happened here in Pennsylvania, a lot of trees were decimated. In fact, there were almost every tree was taken out in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And they replanted them, you know, so now that there are quite a few trees. But the chestnut tree is real prone to a certain blight, and this blight really affected a lot of the chestnuts, and especially the American chestnut. So they're trying to create a blight-free, chestnut, which is probably a good idea. And just thought it was interesting getting to hear the story about that festival. I hope to be able to go next year. But the gal that did go, she said it was really crowded, and you had to wait quite a while to get into many of the places. So yeah, it was kind of interesting, to hear that kind of thing about the history in this area. I hope that wherever you live at, that you do get into the history of the area that you live at, just to see what happened, what's going on within the way that things have happened to create your community. It's a lot of fun to get to see some of those different festivals, those kind of things. Are any of you working on anything special for Valentine's Day? I haven't made anything for Valentine's Day in years. I mean, the biggest thing that I made for Valentine's Day were the wreaths that I did that were interchangeable, so you could just change it around your wreath form as you needed. And, month to month, I made that kind of thing. That was the initial plan. And then I don't remember what happened that stopped me from finishing making them, all the other different months, that kind of thing. Oops, that's not what goes there. It helps to pay attention. But, yeah, I just don't do a lot of different holiday things like that. Just never really got into that. And I'm not sure why. Maybe it's because I always thought of it too late in the season, so that by the time I got to it, was really too late and you couldn't have it out for decoration. Maybe that's why. Yeah, I'm going to stick with that. I think that'll work. I hope you guys enjoyed the little tag that a lot of us have been doing with the nopes. The nopes that I won't do. I've been having fun reading some of your nopes as well. So, I think it's just a lot of fun to get to know each other a little bit better that way. And to be able to see what other people's nopes are, you know. And I really, I woke up this morning, well, not this morning, yesterday morning, to the news about the plane crash off of DC. And that is sad. So many young lives, taken in one fell swoop. But we never know what God's timing is for us and how we're going to go out. And I would hope that their death was pretty instantaneous. They didn't have to drown. I hope that all of them died pretty quickly. That's always my hope when I go, that it's quick. I don't want some long, drawn-out illness to hang on me for a couple of years. Just make me feel useless, that kind of thing. I did see where Billy did a video, and I was really glad to see her, to catch up with her again. Thought that was a lot of fun. And, there's a lot of people that have come and gone on YouTube that I really miss a lot. And I just think it's sad, that we lose so many people. You get interested in their lives and what's going on as people, and you feel like they're a friend, and then you don't see them for a long while and you really miss them. It's that kind of stuff. That's kind of what I go through. When I'm missing someone that I used to see a lot. But I understand, why they choose to do what they've done. Why they decided it wasn't for them. Sometimes your life takes over and you don't have time to do that kind of thing. And it does take a little bit of chunk of time out of your life to sit down and do this kind of thing. And, then to put them up, edit them if you edit them, and make sure you hadn't said anything impolitical, that's too political, that makes everybody crazy. Of course, you know me. I got a big mouth and I'm just going to let you have it, one way or the other. So, there's that. Like I said, still got a little bit of that cough going on. And I really wish it would go away because I'm sick of it. You know, I'm getting tired of the headache and the sore chest from coughing. And I don't wish this scourge on anybody. Went to one of my Bible studies today. It's a great group of ladies, and it was rather sad to see that so many people were out because they had the scourge. You know, although I understand it, because I've got the scourge, and it's no fun. Have any of you started working on anything that's in the Pantone color range for this year? You know, I told you the other day that the color was Mocha Mousse. I believe that's what it's called. So, do any of you plan on working on anything that goes along with that line? The Mocha Mousse kind of thing? Had to look at my cheat sheet. I'm okay once I start doing the squares, then I remember all the steps. But if I've taken a day off, like I took 2 days off from making squares, so now I have to go back and look at the cheat sheet, see what the next row is. Sometimes I wonder if that's because my brain's getting older. Who knows? I had someone tell me that they saw a robin the other day. And I'm like, no, you didn't see a robin. I'll get a drink. But they had pictures of it on the snow. Now, I do know that robins don't really fly away for the winter. They just go deeper in the woods. But for that picture, I was like, oh, it'd be nice if spring would come early and stay. You know, stay spring for a little bit longer this time. But I was like, yeah, it's not April Fool's Day yet, so let's lay off the robin sightings, okay? I have not seen any. I have seen more deer come down, which that's kind of unusual. I mean, I see them occasionally in the winter, but we see them more in the spring and summer. And then towards the end of the fall, you'll see them as they're foraging. But you don't always really see them a lot in the winter around here. So I do find that rather interesting. I've seen a couple. And for those of you that are doing a temperature blanket, how is that going? Are you enjoying it? See, that's my biggest nope. When I think of a temperature blanket, it just sounds boring to me. I'm not one to be focused on the weather anyway. Other than, oh yeah, it's going to snow here this week. How many inches? That is the extent of my weather watching, or if I know that I have to be out there and I need to be cutting the bamboo, my concern is it going to rain? Because I can't get out there when it's raining because it's too slippery. So other than that, I'm not really focused on weather. And I just think doing rows and rows of pretty much the same color because of where I live would be absolutely boring. Maybe if it was a month by month, I don't know. Even then, I think it would be kind of boring. Now, I did like when I think it was Joe had done hers, had done the snake and the as a temperature. Was it her that did that? I don't know. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. I don't know. Kind of crazy. And have you seen some of the things that Doge has shown that we spend money for? Like 50 million to Gaza in condoms. Why? Supposedly they're starving to death. Why would we send them condoms? And why $50 million? That just doesn't even make sense. Or the, what was it, $9 million a year for the sandwich board? To determine if sandwiches were of the equal size. I'd like to be on that board. When you're on that board, you get to go out and test the sandwiches. Get to have a bite of them on taxpayers' dime. Yeah, some of the more ridiculous things that we really should stop paying for. There's no reason for us to be spending that kind of money for stupid stuff. And some of these things, like I said, many of these things get put into place. And they were grants that supposed to end years ago, but we've continued paying on them when they really should be done away with, because the grant was finished. So why are we continuing to pay for these grants? It just doesn't make sense sometimes, the way that people spend money, and it just gets into a system and they just constantly put out money without thinking about where that money, thinking about the actual spending of the money and whether or not that it's still valid spending. So I've been keeping up with some of the lists, and some of them are absolutely ridiculous. And I know I saw one of them that I thought, is this guy kidding? And then I went to look it up, and sure enough, we were paying for it. But, yeah, I think it's time that we actually have somebody, and it should be all the time, there should be a department that actually looks at government waste and actually does everything they can to eliminate it. And I do think it's interesting that Trump has offered severance pay for workers. You know, to leave their government job. It's not a bad severance pay. And I had someone tell me, well, that's because he can't legally fire them. Yes, he can. Did you forget what Ronald Reagan did with the FFA? Fired all of them. When they were getting ready to go on strike, he fired them all. He can. It's not really a good idea to do that. But yeah, I think we need to look at the all the remote jobs that we have in the government. Are they still beneficial to us? And if they're not, maybe they should be done away with. That's a little bit different than telework with the government. Remote work is where you actually, in the past, had an office, which those offices are still being maintained and they're empty. And, if you're going to do remote work, fine. Then do remote work, but get rid of the offices. Why don't you take those offices and turn them into apartments for homeless veterans? I don't know. I think you can find a lot better things to do with that kind of stuff. It's just my humble opinion. But what do I know? And, I have a problem with people who can't read executive orders. This mass hysteria about food stamps and SNAP and WIC going away. That's not what the executive order says. Chill out, calm down. And I do have a little bit of a problem with the whole, the whole egg crisis. I can understand putting down birds that have bird flu, but not killing them, not unaliving them, let's put it that way. If they're not infected, why? Why should you do that? I mean, that contributes to part of this, as well as the bird flu. But you notice they're not killing turkeys at turkey farms. Are turkeys immune from this? And then we had supposedly our first ever bird flu to human person pass away. And when I went to look that up, yeah, she did have bird flu, but she had a lot of other things going on that probably contributed more to her death than the actual bird flu. That was one of those catalysts that got her sick enough to where she had to be hospitalized. And the rest of her systems just went downhill from that. So, is it totally because of bird flu? I don't know. It's kind of like, with me being diabetic, if I were to get pneumonia and have to be put into the hospital, it's going to put a strain on the rest of my system. So there may be other things that happen because of it. It wouldn't be just because of the pneumonia that I might pass away. So, and multi-system organ malfunction does happen sometimes with no explanation whatsoever. So, like I said, it does happen. It's unusual, but it does happen. It's not really something people look forward to. But, what are you going to do? Can't really always determine what's going to happen. What's not going to happen out of different diseases that affect animals, that affect human lives. But there are times that I wonder how these mutate so fast to where they actually affect human beings. You know, is that man-made or is that God-made that happens? And I don't think our government will be honest with us anyway, but can't hurt to ask, right? So we can see what's going on. I finally started working with the striped yarn to make an amigurumi, and it's come out rather interesting. It's not finished, so you'll see that on Monday. But I feel like I got something accomplished because it was amigurumi. And yes, it's probably a little derpy. But if it wasn't derpy, it wouldn't be Jane Wynn that made it, would it? That seems to be my normal. Create something derpy. Derpy, derpy, derpy. Okay. And I'm a little bit concerned about this whole Joanne's thing. You know, I am not looking forward to not being able to go to Joann's to get yarn. Even though I'm on a no-buy, low-buy right now, that would be a royal bummer. I mean, because I do like Big Twist. I like it a lot. I don't have enough of it, but I'm also trying not to do a lot of panic buying that I see a lot of people doing. And it's hard not to. I'll be honest. It's hard not to say, nope, I'm not going to do it, not going to fall into that trap. I just keep praying that they will get a buyer so that that will restructure the store and keep it open. Not only because of the yarn, but because of the fabric and the crafts. I mean, many times when I'm looking for things for beading projects and things, Joann's is a place to go. Michael's is a second, place. Other than that, it would have to be online. And I know if Joann's were to go out of business, there are very few quilt shops around me. Very few. There are no local yarn shops really around me. I mean, I have one in Spring Mills, or Spring Grove. What is it? Spring Grove Mills? No, Spring Mills. But hers is all fancy dancy yarn, and you have to make an appointment. She also has quilt fabric in there. You have to make an appointment to shop. You know, it is one of those that I can go into the shop and go shopping because it's by appointment only. So that kind of leaves that option out. And everything else is I think there are a couple of quilt and yarn shops in State College. Well, and I know I could always go to Scraps and Skeins. That would always be a good I think it's always a good bonus because you keep it out of the landfill. And I think the rest of them are about an hour and a half, 2 hours away. So, you know, that would be a big outing to go do that. We do have Hobby Lobby that has fabric and yarn and crafts. Although lately they've been filling up on a lot of home goods, and that makes me nervous. You know, it's kind of what AC Moore did. At the very end, they started filling up on home goods right before they went out of business. Of course, from what I understand about their going out of business was mostly because they didn't get on the bandwagon with online shopping. They chose to go through Shopify, and it was a mess trying to get anything, you know, shipped that way from AC Moore when they were doing that. That was their big mistake. But yeah, it's a little nerve-wracking. You know, worrying about whether they're going to go out of business and where I'm going to shop if I, you know, once I do get back to where I'm shopping for things, where would I be able to go shop because, you know, they're not there anymore. That kind of thing. So it does worry me a little bit, but I'm gonna try to keep calm and not worry about it too much, and hopefully they'll get a buyer and everything will be hunky-dory. At least that's my hope. And I would imagine it's hard for a lot of these stores that do file bankruptcy to come out of that. just because of all the rules that they have to meet and the conditions they have to meet as a retailer. So, and I'm not real sure where they got messed up on their whole thing. You know, did they just make a mistake in the way that they handled things online? They make a mistake in what they purchased? You know? I mean, who decides what they purchase and, you know, is it going to sell? It's like I look at some of the fashions that just Walmart and Target have right now for women plus size. And I'm like, yuck. That is ugly. So, you know, sometimes you have no idea who the fashion person is that's buying these things and making some of these decisions, and whether they're very good at their decisions or not. So it'll be interesting to see if they survive it. And yes, I am praying they survive it. And I'm glad to see that Connie is back on the air again. I have missed seeing her videos. It's just another stitch. Sometimes life happens and things get out of control. You can't help what happens, so you just have to deal the best you can. Happens to all of us, doesn't it? I've been having fun making a few videos left and right that I haven't posted up yet, but plan on it. Just some different cooking things and stuff like that I've done. Cheaper meals, those kind of things that I buy at Dollar Tree consistently. You know, just a little few fun things like that. And I gotta tell you, when I go over there to that counter and I start, my cats think that I'm opening up a can of cat food every time I open a can. I'm like, no, I am not making you dinner. And they don't get wet food every night. I give it to them once a week. Mainly because they are very good drinkers. I've told you that in the past. So they drink fluids very well. So I don't feel that they need to have the wet food all the time. Now they do get snacks every day. Sometimes I don't know what to do with the snacks, which breaks my heart because I'm like, come on, give it a try. And they're like, oh, I don't know what to do with this. And then we've got one snack they consistently love, and they will fight over it. If I give one and I don't get the other one down fast enough, they will fight over the one. And I'm like, there is no reason to do that. You know I'm going to give you both the same amount, same thing. Chill. but it's funny to watch them. But yeah, I've been having fun doing a couple of those kind of things and just messing around a little bit here in the house, trying to get a few things done that I didn't get done last week because I was so sick. And you don't think how much it takes out of you when you're sick to get back on that horse, especially as you get a little older. I'm finding it takes me a little longer, and my hips are constantly reminding me, well, go sit down, take a break. You've done enough. Sit down. And I don't like that, but, you have to follow what your body tells you to do. As I've told other people before, if I don't, I feel like my hips are going to throw me down onto the floor. And that's no good. That's no fun. And there was something, one of us, we were talking about the way that whatever this bug was that we got. First couple of days, I did not feel steady on my feet whatsoever. And I always double check my blood sugar when I'm like that to make sure it's not too low. And my blood sugar was extremely high, so it wasn't that. And I didn't exactly know what was going on there. But, just kind of, okay, maybe it's just because I'm weak, not feeling well. We'll just take it minute by minute, day by day, as we go. It's going to be okay. And then when my friend and I were talking, she was telling me that she had those symptoms when she had this. And I was like, yeah, what was that about? I just felt like my legs wouldn't hold me up. They wouldn't work right. So, just bizarre. Just really strange how those things affect you. And you don't think they will, but they do. So, and I haven't kept up with any of the crochet trends, so I probably ought to go look and see what's, trending pretty big in crochet, since I haven't been following any of it. Just because I'm nosy, kind of curious what the big trend is right now. Did you guys go see Lisa's crochet? Where she was showing the dress that she was making for her granddaughter? And it had the tulle around the bottom. I was like, oh my God, that is so cute. And then I was like, is that a crochet trend? Is that what we're doing for little girls now? So they have their little tutu around them? Not that I would get in on that, because I really don't have any little girls to crochet something like that for. But, just curious. Just have that little thought in my head. Is that a crochet trend? Should I be looking at it and, seeing what it's all about? I don't know. Lately, I've just been trying to work on these Willow squares to get those finished. Get those ready so I can start sewing those together or crocheting them together. I think I'm going to crochet them together. I will tell you, when I was doing one of the cooking videos prior to putting it all together, I don't think it was a video. I think it was a picture montage. But I sliced my thumb with the mandolin. Something happened and the cats got startled and they come flying through the house, and I had stopped to pay attention to them and wasn't paying attention to where the mandolin was going and cut open my thumb. So that little sucker is kind of sore, and every once in a while it shows up and tells me it's time to stop crocheting, which now is one of those because it's kind of throbbing. So I am going to let you go for now, and I will see you again soon. In the meantime, I hope everybody's having a great crochet or knit week. I do plan on getting back to knitting on my sweater. So, yeah, I'll see you soon. But in the meantime, I'm working on some of those things out of that tote. All right, see you soon. Bye.